Hey guys, Aubrey here with Arian Motorsports. So this is the second part of a video that I'm doing on this project where I'm lowering the motor, I'm redoing the engine mounts, I'm redoing the drive shaft and the carrier bearing mount, and a few other things. So this is part two, and I will have a third one. I'm also putting a massive air cleaner on here and redoing some of the intake piping. So third video for that. But let me turn this around here. I'll show you what we're doing. I got the oil pan in here, and so you can see that's about where it's going to sit. You can see I've extended this rail out. I cut the old cross member out, and I've extended this rail out further, and then I'm going to weld new mounting brackets in. They're obviously going to be lower to match this, and then this will transition into round tubing, come up in the front. On the other side, I cut out more tubing all the way back to here because that's where my original mount was for the intermediate shaft, for the drive shaft. But it's going to hit, it would have hit right here. So I cut that all out. I'm going to change that around, and I'm going to make the intermediate shaft a ½ inch shorter. There's the intermediate drive shaft. So we're going to pull that apart. I'm going to cut it right here and machine a ½ inch out of it, and then weld it back together. And then I'm going to change out that to a different style pillow block bearing and get that mounted back together so I can make sure that the mount's clear when it's at full full bump. So let's get started. All right, so you can see the new carrier bearing right here, and I'm going to make a mount that holds it right about here. I'll cut out a chunk right there, and it's going to mount down to this 2-inch cross member there. I'll show you what we've got going on here. So I took a cardboard template and cut it out, and then drew this out in there, and then this is the edge where my 2-inch bracket is, or where my 2-inch tubing is going to go. And so this is the part that I designed, and so I'm going to have to take the yoke off to slide it through there, but it's going to make it a lot stronger, and I'll be able to weld it on this edge and that edge. And then I left a large hole in the center, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to cut it down some so it's the same thickness as this piece here, and I'm going to bolt it through with just a plate on the backside, and that's going to give me a little bit of cushion for that carrier bearing. So carrier bearing is set up so it can slide on the shaft. So it's got about ½ inch of slide here. I don't have very good lighting, but you can see it slides back and forth. But I still want to have a little bit of cushion in there so that, you know, it's just got some shock absorption.
So we'll go ahead and get this cut out on the Arc Droid. I think I need to update the firmware and then see how it fits. It might take more than one try. All right, so you might be wondering at this point why I'm doing so many mounts. If you look back here at the transfer case, there's a mount there. There's a mount on the front of the transfer case. Now we've got the mount that's under the transmission. We've got the main engine mounts, and we're adding in this mount up here into my chassis. And earlier this spring, last spring, I was working on the race car and realized that I'd broken my engine mounts off, and the transmission was, or the engine was just flopping around in there, and it messed a few things up, and so I got everything welded back up, but it actually broken the casting out of the block because the bolts that were used for the engine mount were shorter than they should have been. So I welded everything up. I added some to the engine mount, and made it quite a bit stronger, and I used longer bolts. But the thing is that this whole engine just is so torquey, and it's just twisting the whole engine every time I hit the gas, especially with that supercharger, that instant torque. And so it's putting just a ton of pressure on those engine mounts, twisting torque, and having all of your mounts on the lower plane doesn't really prevent it from twisting. So hopefully by having this tied in up here, it's going to keep the engine from twisting. I mean, it's got to, right? It can't really twist with it up there. And then the other thing that it's going to do is it's going to allow me, so this whole engine and transmission is in a big cradle. It fastens right here. And then it hooks into my chassis right here. And down here at the far end, it hooks in too. So that whole cradle drops out. And the thing is I was realizing when I was working on the oil pan that if I ever want to change that oil pan, I'm not going to be able to do it in the car. So, because there's just not enough space for me to get it out of there, to get the oil pan down far enough to get the pickup tube out and to get the oil pan slid out, with the tubing being so close. I can show you right here, right? So, if I want to work on that, if for some reason it hasn't sealed properly, now this upper mount will hold my engine in place well, and I can jack it up, or put a little bit extra support under it, and then take that entire cradle out and work on my oil pan if I need to, and leave the whole engine, transmission, everything connected in here. So I think this is going to work really slick. We're going to go ahead and do a little sanding on these and get it welded up. All right, so I was just looking at this. This is my bracket, okay? Ignore the crappy paint job there. It's got paint on it. That's what matters. And I don't like this, and I realize why. All that's holding this motor bracket in place is bolts through these holes. And when that thing's jostling back and forth, they're going to want to wear. So I'm going to make up some washers. I'm going to grind this back out. I'm going to make up some washers, maybe like 1/2 inch tall, and put them in here and weld them in place, and then get some longer bolts and bolt this thing in. And it's going to make this a hell of a lot more rugged and make it hold up a lot longer. You know, as you can see, it's only an 1/8 inch thick. That's going to wear down on my bolts. And eventually, it's either going to shear my bolts off, or it's just going to wear a bigger hole in there, and my motor's going to rattle around. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to grind that back down and do some more work on it. But let's get started.
All right. Well, thanks for watching that video. I hope it was interesting or helpful, or you got something out of it. Going to be making a third video with the air cleaner and the intake piping and the new bypass valve, all that good stuff. Hopefully soon. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more content.